Do you find yourself doing things that you do not really want to do? How do you feel when someone close to you or in a situation of power suggests that you do something against your will? Probably not good. How often do you experience or hear of people who seem to have been blackmailed into accepting life-changing decisions such as choice of education, career, and marriage partner because their parents, partners, bosses, best friends, or children thought it was best for them? By definition, psychological manipulation is a type of social influence that aims to change the perception or behavior of others through underhanded, deceptive, or even abusive tactics. By advancing the interests of the manipulator, often at the other's expense, such methods could be considered exploitative, abusive, devious, and deceptive. Everybody who wants something from somebody else is a potential manipulator, especially when the feeling is that they can get what they want more easily in a covert way than in open and rational ways. Manipulation often is about power. Manipulators want the power to dominate you, to force you to give them whatever it is they are after to feel important, safe, comfortable, valued, loved. Obedience, loyalty, cooperation, support, vote, silence, energy, time, work, money, attention, companionship, friendship, love, sex, your Chinese vases, really anything. No wonder that manipulators come in all kinds. All salesmen are trained in sales techniques, many of which are in fact manipulation techniques. What's important, however, is to realize that everybody will try to manipulate others sometimes. Manipulation becomes a problem only when the manipulator advances his own interests at the expense of his victims and causes mental, physical, financial, or other harm. According to clinical psychologist Dr. George Simon, often, manipulators in many ways are dysfunctional people who conceal aggressive intentions and behaviors. Know the psychological vulnerabilities of the victim to determine what tactics are likely to be the most effective, and have a sufficient level of ruthlessness to have no qualms about causing harm to the victim if necessary. Manipulators also need to advance their own purposes and their own gain, even at virtually any cost to others. They need to attain feelings of power and superiority in relationships with others and need to feel in control. The human mind has no natural guide to the truth, nor does it naturally love the truth. What the human mind loves is itself, what serves it, what flatters it, what gives it what it wants, and what strikes down and destroys whatever threatens it. Manipulators know this very well. They shrewdly focus on pursuing their own interest, without respect to how that pursuit affects others. They know how to use the established structure of power to advance their interests. They have a great command of the rhetoric of persuasion and are more sophisticated, more verbal, and generally have more schooling, greater status, and achieve more success than uncritical persons. They are accustomed to playing the dominant role in relationships. They cannot effectively manipulate others if they appear to them to be invalidating their beliefs. That is why they are rarely rebels or critics of society. In fact, since they are fundamentally concerned, not with advancing rational values, but with getting what they want, they are careful to present themselves as sharing the values of those they manipulate. For the same reason, they strive to appear before others in a way that associates themselves with power, authority, and conventional morality. Their goal is always to control what others think, and they do so by controlling the way information is presented to them. In order to control and change your mind, however, they first have to read it. Manipulators will observe you, collect information through how you answer their questions and what your friends or colleagues tell about you, but also through finding out more about you. Who you associate with, where you live, what your life is like, how you feel, what you read, which music you listen to, what you do. Nowadays, this kind of personal information is always more found through electronic traces that you leave on the internet, social network profiles, comments, things you published. Manipulators continually collect, consolidate, then sift all of this information in order to find thought patterns that can be interpreted as your personal disposition. For example, to better understand your personality, character matrix, and hence find your weak spots. Manipulators can have various possible motivations, including the need to advance their own purposes and personal gain at virtually any cost to others, a strong need to attain feelings of power and superiority in relationships with others, a want and need to feel in control, a desire to gain a feeling of power over others in order to raise their perception of self-esteem. The manipulative approach generally includes 3 phases. 1. Assessment phase. Some manipulators are opportunistic, aggressive predators who will take advantage of almost anyone they meet, while others are more patient, waiting for the perfect, innocent victim to cross their path. In each case, the manipulator is constantly sizing up the potential usefulness of an individual as a source of money, power, sex, or influence. Some manipulators enjoy a challenge while others prey on people who are vulnerable. During the assessment phase, the manipulator is able to determine a potential victim's weak points and will use those weak points to seduce. 2. Manipulation phase. Once the manipulator has identified a victim, the manipulation phase begins. During the manipulation phase, a manipulator may create a persona or mask, specifically designed to work for his or her target. A manipulator will lie to gain the trust of their victim. Manipulators' lack of empathy and guilt allows them to lie with impunity. They do not see the value of telling the truth unless it will help get them what they want. As interaction with the victim proceeds, the manipulator carefully assesses the victim's persona. The victim's persona gives the manipulator a picture of the traits and characteristics valued in the victim. The victim's persona may also reveal, to an astute observer, insecurities or weaknesses the victim wishes to minimize or hide from view. As an ardent student of human behavior, the manipulator will then gently test the inner strengths and needs that are part of the victim's private self and eventually build a personal relationship with the victim. The persona of the manipulator. The personality the victim is bonding with does not really exist. It is built on lies, carefully woven together to entrap the victim. It is a mask, one of many, custom made by the manipulator to fit the victim's particular psychological needs and expectations. The victimization is predatory in nature. It often leads to severe financial, physical, or emotional harm for the individual. Healthy, real relationships are built on mutual respect and trust. They are based on sharing honest thoughts and feelings. The victim's mistaken belief that the psychopathic bond has any of these characteristics is the reason it is so successful. 3. Abandonment phase. The abandonment phase begins when the manipulator decides that his or her victim is no longer useful. The manipulator abandons his or her victim and moves on to someone else. In the case of romantic relationships, a manipulator will usually seal a relationship with their next target before abandoning his or her current victim. Sometimes, the manipulator has 3 individuals on whom he or she is running game. The one who has been recently abandoned, who is being toyed with and kept in the picture in case the other 2 do not work out, the one who is currently being played and is about to be abandoned, and the third, who is being groomed by the manipulator in anticipation of abandoning the current mark. Manipulators generally take the time to scope out the characteristics and vulnerabilities of their victim. Following are the vulnerabilities exploited by manipulators. 2. Dependent. Dependent people need to be loved and are therefore gullible and liable to say yes to something to which they should say no. 2. Immature. Has impaired judgment and believes the exaggerated advertising claims. 2. Naive. Cannot believe there are dishonest people in the world, taking for granted that if there were they would not be allowed to operate. 2. Impressionable. Overly seduced by charmers. For example, they might vote for the seemingly charming politician who kisses babies. 2. Trusting. People who are honest often assume that everyone else is honest. They are more likely to commit themselves to people they hardly know without checking credentials, etc., and less likely to question so-called experts. 2. Lonely. Lonely people may accept any offer of human contact. A manipulative stranger may offer human companionship for a price. 2. Narcissistic. Narcissists are prone to falling for unmerited flattery. 2. Impulsive. Make snap decisions about, for example, what to buy or whom to marry without consulting others. 2. Altruistic. The opposite of psychopathic, too honest, too fair, too empathetic. 2. Frugal. Cannot say no to a bargain even if they know the reason it is so cheap. 2. Materialistic. Easy prey for loan sharks or get-rich-quick schemes. 2. Greedy. The greedy and dishonest may fall prey to a manipulator who can easily entice them to act in an immoral way. 2. Masochistic. Masochists lack self-respect and so unconsciously let manipulators take advantage of them. They think they deserve it out of a sense of guilt. The elderly. The elderly can become fatigued and less capable of multitasking. When hearing a sales pitch, they are less likely to consider that it could be a con. They are prone to giving money to someone with a hard luck story. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, please hit the thumbs up icon and subscribe to this channel to be notified when we upload new video. Have a great day.